I'm creating some cards that I've made from my Kitaholic kit scraps. But basically, any scraps you've got, especially those die cuts or cut aparts, or the sheets that you get that you actually have to chop up yourself, that often come with kits or that you get off the internet these days, you tend to have some left over. So in an attempt to use those up, all I've done is I've got a whole lot of card bases, A5 size, that fit into normal envelopes, and I've virtually gone choose and put a whole pile of cut aparts or die cuts on each card that I'm going to make, making sure that I've got at least one sentiment, because these are birthday cards, I decided. Then I've gone to my scrap bin, found a pile of cardstock that matched, that wasn't in a kit, that I'm just using up scraps. I have mine in envelopes, different colours for different envelopes, of course. Sometimes, like here, I've even used some packaging. So it's Pretty Little Studios packaging, I think, because I liked it and I thought it would go well with the die cuts and the bits and bobs that I'm trying to use up today. So all in all, I've made up 5, I guess you call them a little like mini kits almost, to create 5 cards. These cards didn't take me long to make. Oh, and I found some rub-ons at the op shop, or charity shop, you might know it as, of all places. So I might add some of those in too. But mostly I'm trying to use what I've got. The string here comes from Kmart in Australia. I bought it at Christmas time. I'm not very good at tying string on tags, so I tend to double it over 3 or 4 times and then just tie it in a knot. A lot of times I like to outline my elements. I think it makes them pop a little bit, and if you're a really bad fussy cutter like I am, it covers up some of those mistakes too, which is rather nice. Here you can see I had a longer word and I only wanted certain words instead of the whole sentiment, so I just chopped off the word that I wanted. And I think it was today. Then on the tag underneath today it says choose joy, and then the little fishtail banner says happiness. So I needed to cover up the joy as well, which you'll see me doing later on. Here we go. I've sort of worked out the basic construction of how I want my elements to sit. Then I've taken them off again, got some scrap paper to keep my work area clean, and off I go with my Boss Stick glue. I don't tend to use double-sided tape. I don't like it. I find that after a while it comes off and it's permanent. You can't move it once you've used it. Whereas the Boss Stick, you can sort of move around a little bit as you're going. The doily came from my stash. I've got lots of doilies and I find they make a really good base on which to build other layers. You can see here that the ends of the little thin strips of paper I've made into a little fishtail, and literally I'm just building up my layers along the side of the card. Here you go, the joy bit on the right bottom edge of the tag I'm going to cover up in a minute, make a fishtail banner to match the other one I've got, and it will cover up the joy. By the time I get the arrow shaped paper across it, you won't even know the joy was there. So then it will just say today choose happiness, which of course you do for your birthday, or I would hope you do. You try to anyway. Doesn't take me long to make these cards. I'm not fussy about them. It's just really nice when all the elements sort of match because somebody else has gone to that effort. Kaisercraft don't put a whole lot of die cuts together if they won't go. So it does make it easy. The sequins came from the kit. I tend to just throw sequins around, and where they land pretty much is where I'll add them. Sometimes I use liquid pearls, as in this case, to attach the sequins. Other than that, I like art glitter glue which I've put in those little bottles. So that's all ready to go. I just have to wait for the liquid pearls to dry before I attach it to the card base. With card number 2, first of all I look at the elements, what I've got there, because of course I forget. And there's a door in this one with lots of little bits that they didn't pull out. I can just imagine some of you going, oh, those little bits, they'll be so handy. Well, they were handy for my recycling bin. I didn't like the door. I thought the door was dodgy, so I tried to cover it up as much as I could. I'm not afraid to cut bits up. If I don't like the end of one of the bits, I'll just cut it up and throw it away. I was trying to work out how to make the smile, I think it is, be happy, smile, stand out. Oh, and here we go with some fussy cutting. Oh, I hated it. Anyway, I did it because the flower was quite cute and went with the other flowers that I had. And I actually used the end of that fussy cut flower tag on the next card, so nothing went to waste. The button that you can see there was on the floor. Picked it up and thought, oh, brown button goes with a brown door. That might work. That's a cutter part that I had to cut, and I cut really crooked, so I sort of really had to fix that one up. Once again, I'm at that stage where I'm gluing my bits together, and out comes the stapler. I don't know about you, but I love using my stapler. I have a short arm stapler, this one from Stampin' Up, and I have a long arm stapler from Officeworks over here, and it's my go-to piece of equipment, and I wouldn't be without it. That's the other little piece of doily that I cut off from card 1, and it just helps add something to that door which actually disappears behind the card, which is fine by me. That gets chopped in half, that round circle, because it's too big for anything. But if you cut something in half like that, you can often use it in 2 places, and it works a lot better. Out comes the Derivan pen. The alcohol markers are really good. They dry so quickly, they don't smudge. And I love the chisel shape for going around edges too. It's a lot easier to go around edges. Can you see how I tend to create a cluster and then attach it? I really like doing that. I particularly like doing it with cards. I think it makes it easy to construct cards if you do that. The other little bit of equipment that I just adore is my mini guillotine, which is coming into play now. Couldn't be without it. Would have to buy another one if that broke down, but I've had it for a number of years and it's been perfect. So just adding some bits underneath. And one of the things I tend to do is if I find a position for it, I'll just lift it up, put the tape under it, and put the boss stick, the glue under it, and pop it back down without moving it. Sometimes I use, that was blue masking tape on the back, just because I've got a little piece put right exactly where I want it to be and I don't want to move it, and so the masking tape comes in handy for that. That double-sided tape that I'm using is dimensional. It comes from what we call the $2 shop. It's actually in the supplies for tape that you mount on walls. It's not craft tape at all, and I found it 100%, 200, 1,000, 1,000,000% better than the craft tape. That little element, oh, here's me sniffing, sorry. That little element, the round circular element, I needed to take a bit off. So because I had stuck it with the glue stick, I could just whip it off, cut it and whip it back on again. I find art glitter glue is really the best for adhering buttons, sequins, wood, anything really, and it dries completely clear, not glossy. You know how glossy accents, if you don't get it under the element, you'll see this little like shiny bit around the sides. Art glitter glue doesn't do that, but it is hard to find. I think they make it in the USA. A few brown sequins, and then the wood I felt was too dark, so I got out my Faber-Castell Pit Artist big brush pen, and isn't that a mouthful, and went over the wood. But the pen, the white pen, picks up the yellow from the wood, so I have to keep, you know, wiping it off before I can continue it. Card 3, I don't know what happened to the end of card 2, but I'll put some close-ups in at the end of this if I ever show it to you on YouTube. I'm not good at videos, but I don't know, something got into me today and I just decided that I felt like doing a video. Bizarre. So once again, outlining my elements, looking at what I've got, decided to pull some washi tape out this time. The fat one is from Kmart. The skinny one was sent to me from America from my son. I actually chose it, but he did send it to me, so it was very good of him. Washi tape never sticks. Who else finds that? Hands up. Doesn't, does it? So I always put some glue under my washi tape to stick it, because otherwise it lifts and there's just no point to that. Like the idea of layering thicker washi tape with skinnier washing tape. And out come the rub-ons. I didn't know how they're going to rub on because they really are old ones. I knew they were old ones when I got them from the op shop, but hey, they were brilliant. The way I put my rub-ons is not with the wooden stick that comes with them. I always use my bone folder and it works brilliantly. I would never use rub-ons any other way. I went to town with the rub-ons, but I think it was the window, that is a window by the way, seemed aged, and so the aged look of the stickers sort of went with the aged window. And I know the birdcage is too big for the window, but hey, it's only background. You actually don't notice it in the end. Once again, cutting those elements off and using masking tape so that I can just very precisely stick them down. I know I'm going to put some glue stick on as well, so it doesn't matter too much about how much I've stuck them down. Then there were some little pieces of paper that had nothing on them. Oh, actually I think that was that tag from the original fussy cut round circle flower in the first card. Go stapler. Just makes it easier to layer things up. As you can see, I didn't move the flower. Don't know what happened there. Don't understand that blank bit. But blank it is. And the dog's barking. Oh, that's bizarre. Why are we all blank? Oh, because that's the end. That's right. I forgot about that. My video camera cut out. So I'm going to overlay some still shots of my cards in this section, which is all blank.